But my guess is it should be the way it should be, because other patients can be seen in the periphery. But when you want to, when you're in a specialized clinics, you need to be able to handle or offer services to those very, very difficult patients with multiple comorbid conditions, treatment resistance, and so on and so forth. One other thing I see is that in future, OCD clinics are more likely to attract other disorders which are vastly underdiagnosed, which are related to OCD. I think I'm expecting to see more body dysmorphic disorder patients, patients with trichotillomania, and other kind of spectrum disorders are likely to come to our attention more often, because I think now they're seen by dermatologists.
That was really wonderful for giving us the overview of complete. There's not much change with regard to past or present phenomenological presentation commonly seen in clinics. Not just other anxiety disorders, but mood disorders, personality disorders, BPD and schizophrenia. We spoke about particularly CBT and other non-pharmacological hands, why the process was set up and how the progress has been.
Geriatric is a specialty so I think way back in 1990s, the clinic started in the Department of Psychiatry, but for some reasons it was not continued. And I think Dr. Matthew Verghese restarted it in 1999, which is the year of elderly, as announced by WHO, and continues existence of the clinic. And the last 1.5 years we have moved into a full-time unit, which provide services which are this population getting some preference. So I think it is something like which is in nascent stage. It is not as developed in other developed countries.
Increase the awareness, as most of the even educated family members, they feel that if somebody has some problem, they blame it on aging. So whether we can increase and whether we can say increase the awareness among the population, so that
the clinic attracts only the tip of the iceberg. So there are a lot of barriers for people to seek help, and it is normal aging. And there have been studies where they looked at the people diagnosed symptoms of depression and dementia. 20 years back, they had done a study. The same methodology they were done, repeated now. The Goa group had done. The findings remain same. Even now, people recognize the syndrome, but we have been doing always as a part of Alzheimer's Day, World Alzheimer's Day, as well as say Center for Senior Citizens at Nimans. It is being operationalized now, and we have collaborated with Karnataka State Legal Service Authority and started promoting services for elderly with respect to all aspects. And this has been kind of, we have got dedicated support in terms of human resources. It is about the subsyndromal symptoms, and the one which affects elderly is more of mental health issues which are not at a syndromal level, but at least a lot of distress and their quality of life gets affected by that. And many disorders, even like dementia, before all these things we cannot do it in the hospital. So we have to do it in community, and I take this opportunity to place also on Karnataka chapter and doing activities, and I think it has been done at all levels, at all places.
Do you agree with the statement geriatric clinics in psychiatry focus more?
Yeah, somewhere because Dr. Matthew Verghese and team at Shikla Bharat has in some other geriatric setups. There are not many centers in our country, but there are places where they predominantly do other geriatric consultation lies done, and other mental psychiatrists have a lot of role in dementia because of the behavioral and psychological symptoms, as well as the quality of life and other the care issues. I think we are, but that's not the only thing which we do.
Now, there is a lot of caregiver burden as well.
What is not available? If available, it is not accessible and affordable. So, as a country, it is very, very primitive in our setup, and whatever is available is definitely expensive, and it is not at all kind of suitable, or it is affordable for people. Of carers, you can no longer say that women or the family members are, they can take it for granted. You can take them for granted that they will be able to provide care. They have other activities to do, and full-time caregiving is a big challenge. So definitely it has affected, and it is resources.
What's your take on it?
I definitely agree with you. This is something like the salon cannot deliver services to the large number of people who require services, and psychiatry is not exception. Geriatric psychiatry is not exception. From multiple specialists, but if the physician
Finally, What are the social security schemes that are currently available for geriatrics?
The social security scheme available for jail for decades, and what the exam now, I think it varies from state to state. If it's they have dysentery, that they will get eligibility like dementia they have. So I think the other things is concessions in the care. Many of the hospitals give concession for senior citizens, and there are bank savings schemes are there for these benefits. And the government has actually created something called a senior citizen welfare fund to go. What is available and whether people are able to get it easily and whether it is sufficient. Still, a lot of them live in a very bad condition. When so there are people who are locked, there are people who are chained. Recently, we summarize as much as possible. The geriatric clinic has been set up 20 years back, almost like 2 decades, and it's come a long way. And it's been recognized that increasing awareness among the community is really important to help people. Now, the geriatric services mainly concentrate in the Dr. Bandari will be dealing about the addiction services. Now, you've been working for more than 2 decades with regard to this addiction.
Frankly, it was again a necessity. Morning, somebody was telling the same thing. It was not that I was interested. But over the years, what I noticed was it is something really different. And in fact, when I announced that I am interested in de-addiction, the main problems I was facing was the bed shortage. I worked both in the private sector as well as the government sector. So initially, I started off in a missionary hospital. There, the same problem was there. More than the pattern, I feel our understanding. That's what initially probably I remember as a student, we used to shrug away from any case. You remember we were classmates. De-addiction means there is nothing in that. That was the thing. Over the years, what I have noticed is the comorbidity, identifying comorbidity, treating comorbidity. Then of course new comorbidity, other psychiatric comorbidity, treatment of. We have also changed. That's what I noticed. The younger psychiatrists, for example, in my own setup, recently one of the psychiatrists started this one for children of alcoholics. And then previously they also started something for the spouses. So these sort of things, though they were in books, probably in India are moving towards that.
Do you think there is a change in the way people are approaching towards seeking help for
approached by women whose husbands are actually doing social drinking, but they still want treatment to see that they stop it. To that extent it has gone. Then I remember in 99, 2000 when I wanted help from social organizations, they said treat, like we conduct camps in chowdhuries, temple, people to know about this, and also they contribute to help-seeking behavior. What I noticed is maybe earlier they had that this one about these substances on their own. That's what I noticed.
What exactly you do in the camp?
Okay.
Screening or intervention?
No, see, there are 2 types of camps. I feel like the one is the residential one, another is the outpatient. Outpatient detoxification we are doing is we are announcing in these camps that the specialty, I mean this alcohol we are slowly tapering and starting disulfimus. So this is I felt that over the years probably looking at the load of people approaching us, this is something which we may have to do. Then the thing subsequently, when it became a success, another primary health center, they also we admit patients there. The medical officer of the private them to our setup, and throughout that a school teacher, a religious leader, and even sometimes our own doctors, they take part in these programs, and they conduct in the community. The children of these schools, they come and conduct some programs, basically for entertainment. And after this entertainment program, from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, there are these alcoholic anonymous, and these responsible persons in the village, in the community, they come and talk. A sense of...
You've been working with this Karnataka Sambhrama integrated with NLH?
No, definitely national alcohol policy, it has been there on paper. I think one Dr. Arul Raj or some point itself, what has happened is nobody knows the exact definition. That's what I felt. temperance means reducing the or drinking in moderation, whether that is the thing or whether it is an anti-alcohol thing. That is the confusion which prevails. What with the government and what money. Basically, whatever has happened in Karnataka, I don't think again Karnataka now it is in hibernation.
Wonderful having had all the three good speakers post lunch session. I'm sure there are much more questions from the audience which they can interact with the speakers later on. Once again, I thank the organizers and thank you once again all the speakers.
Welcome me, all the panelists, Dr. Sanjeev J, Dr. John P. John, and Dr. Venkat Subramanian.
Welcome everybody. Hot discussion. We had discussions on we are going to talk about biological psychiatry here. To talk about this, we have ethics. So, the first question would be to Dr. Sanjeev Jain inside the lab. So, I just wanted to know, when do you think the actual era of biological psychiatry could have started?
Oh, I don't think there was ever any psychiatry which is non-biological. In the sense that if you look at the oldest textbooks of medicine, of the Greek or the Indian medicine era, people have always used somatic drugs. And always technology was available. They knew that influencing the body could affect recovery. People tried applying the same principle of dissection of the body to dissecting the mind, which is when psychology and psychiatry began, in the sense that you could separate symptoms into clusters. So I don't think biological psychiatry has been integral to the practice of psychiatry. That's norepinephrine only in 1940. So biological psychiatry in the current era is very, very new. We know almost next to nothing about the brain. So to think that we have a biological understanding.
You know that your area of interest being fMRI study, brain mapping and EEG. So does biological psychiatry have any relevance for clinical psychiatry at present?
Biological psychiatry. Biological psychiatry in the strictest sense of the word. We use various tools to study this, ranging from genes to cellular models to proteomics to metabolomics to imaging to brain stimulation and so on and so forth. But biological science is mental disorder. Biological science, I wonder how many of us would perceive that I'm applying biological psychiatry in my day-to-day brain disorder underlying a particular symptom or a particular ICD or DSM category, and then deciding my approach accordingly. We look at antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, anxiolytics, and so on and so forth. But the specifics of a particular disorder is not essentially perceived. Nevertheless, I think that, as Dr. Jain pointed out, in our short history of attempts at, biology, but, for example, addition of thyroxine as agonists like aripiprazole in the management, low dose of partial agonist, aripiprazole in the augmentation of schizophrenia and so on and so forth. Or the placement of the anodes and cathodes in the KDCS, or placement of the electrodes in, not something that is routinely perceived by the practicing physician.
Thank you very much. Mahesh, I think quite a number of important issues have been covered by both Professor Jain and Professor John. If you look at critical advances, the biological understanding of the brain function, its aberration in several newer molecules. Of course, it is altogether a different issue whether these are much more effective than older one or not, but it is suffice to say that we perhaps have a set of safer molecules which might be suitable at least in a subset of patients. And perhaps we might be able to, by the availability of several techniques, like as I keep speaking, through several parameters which can be measured from your distance or from the last row, kind of interact with each other. And if you want to take it further, put is now something which is offering us significant leads in a biological psychiatry. So these are three important points I'd like to mention.
Thank you very much, sir.
So again, the question to my co-guide Professor is, what are the current ambiguities in our understanding and practice? So actually, where do we stand?
Sarpagandha and Resapine in 1932. And it was Dr. Hakim's meeting that the New York Times reported that Indian drugs are very useful in treating insanity. And Resapine was written about in American Neuropsychiatry, what native medicine and what Ayurvedic medicine was. So Resapine allowed you to dissect the medicine. And to understand that, you must understand biological psychiatry does not brain biology. Biology is much larger. Serotonin and dopamine in plants are there in all plants. The yellow fiber of bananas is widespread in the biological world. And where it serves to regulate cell division, it serves to regulate cell. But it's just no more special. So to really invent new drugs, most of the drugs to now have been me-too drugs, copying Resapine and chlorpromazine. We have not had a radically new drug for 80 years. And to understand that, we have to go back to biology, we have to go back to traditional modes of medical pharmacognosy and reinvent molecular pharmacology from there. And that is the much more exciting part. As we get to know more about genes, so you can do maintain stem cells and grow neurons from patients with various kinds of diseases. So the first pharmacology, which is guided by molecular genetics, which is in turn educated by the brain, has very little to do with psychiatry, technically speaking. Most of the genes that we find to be at risk for schizophrenia or mood disorder. So the fact that it may be a systemic response and a cellular response to a wide variety of brain-environment interactions is biological psychiatry. So it's a much more complex than just the brain. As somebody very famously put it, the brain, thoughts are to the brain what the bile is to the liver.
Again, I will go back to my is an attempt to study the mental disorders as arising from brain disorders. There are a lot of other positions as well. For example, it could be environmental, or it could be cultural, individual specific, and so on and so forth. All of this have a modulating effect on how the brain disorder is caused, which can lead on to the mental disorder. So for example, so we have any number of such examples from transcultural psychiatry. You have culture-bound syndromes. So therefore, the mental disorder, the so-called brain disorder, may be hopefully corrected by the advancements of biological psychiatry. So I think biological psychiatry and
which try to understand the information processing base. Once I would like to mention is now, and this can be modeled, and so that is something which is very exciting, and this kind of Bayesian brain model can be applied to understand the pathogenesis of several psychiatric disorders. But having said that, one has to acknowledge the Watson statement that the brain is a very complex outline. The brain were so simple to understand, we would be so simple that we couldn't. But these theoretical, at one level we have powerful computational approaches. So that's what I think. Thank you very much, sir.
Difficulties in biological psychiatry and research.
Let me go back to where John ended. Now, Eric Kandel, who's a psychiatrist, neurobiologist, and got a Nobel Prize in 2000, wrote an essay in which he said that ultimately the job of psychiatry is to understand all social processes and all sociology and all psychology, things like society, things like have diseases, just like medicine as a window into the physiology of the human body. Psychiatry becomes a window into the biology of the human mind itself. And that is what we are and how we are. By studying the diseases in which consciousness and cognition are impaired, it's the only window we have to understand that process. So psychiatry is absolutely critical to our understanding. How we understand this obviously has to be done by fusion of one helium and one hydrogen atom. Lithium evolved, and all the other elements evolved several millions of light years later, and human life is only whatever, few 100,000 years, and lithium is the only known drug to treat a mental disorder. It's not useful for anything else. So an element which is produced in the Big Bang has finally discovered its use in the human mind. So ultimately, this probably tells you something about the origin of the universe, the biology of lithium, and if we can somehow find what is it about lithium that combines these four things, mysterious. So right from the elements, membrane biology, to cell biology, to tissue biology, to organismal biology of the brain, to communication theories, you need to develop all these methods. And psychiatrists are the best place to participate in this, as long as if we are partitioning our brain into, I give clotrimazine or trifluoperazine or whatever, but I'll also spend 10 hours explaining to the patient how the relationship is immaterial. But you are interfering in many aspects of the person's consciousness. Sometimes with drugs, as Venkat pointed out before. As Watson said, it was so simple, the answer would have been around the corner. But every time you try,
been in charge of genetic labs, a lot of things have been happening. In a nutshell, you could tell us how you manage this and what you've done in this to bless the case.
Well, it's very simple. I'm also known as, I presume I'm known by as friendly and opportune mosquito or Count Dracula. I do very much in that sense. But when you see families who have multiple people with multiple, most of the time, to have a single, and we often wonder whether we should look at genes of the person who's caring after them, because he's a much more unique person than the poor who are there in this. Reserve of the human capacity for tolerance and for compassion. We use this diversity and commonality to how do we use the services that we have? I think Dr. H.S.N. that he had seen somebody's father and the son was ill and he was in unit 1. And I am now seeing that person's grandchildren. So the hospital now has provided care for 4 generations of family. And if we can utilize that degree of depth in which we are identifying this family with topics and perhaps understand the biology underlying question. Apologies.
Thank you very much, sir. And this is a question to John, sir. Developing a biological psychiatry will lead to an abolishment of the biological psychiatry.
Of other specialties like biological medicine, biological psychiatry. So probably perhaps the difference is that it is not that non-biological factors are not important in any of the field of psychiatry. Comparatively in other fields, the biological psychiatry subsection of psychiatry, once we reach that stage, perhaps it might be probably indicative of being at par with other specialties of medicine. So I would look at it. Maybe perhaps biological might go.
Dr. Venkat, what are your views on the future of biological psychiatry?
As we know, data science is permeating everywhere. Data science and its application, whether it is machine learning or artificial intelligence, so on and so forth. The hope is it is going to make the approach more personalized. When we look at all this data science, the person-specific approach, that is the art of the brain and in turn explaining the aberrations and so-called mind. So my feeling is that as we do more and more research in this area, it is important we need to look at the integration of several psychiatric disorders in terms of its close interface with other medical diseases. I think we should have approaches which will give translational utility in the immediate future and keep the patient as a person and see the disorder within the person and apply these techniques. So at one level we have to harness the important factors that were emphasized and still be a message I want to communicate. It should be the other way around.
Action aspects of biological psychiatry research maybe.
I started learning how the brains are aberrant and try to look at some of the molecules like say insulin, like growth factor, so on and so forth, which made me to get into something like a neuroplasticity, which in turn made me to think that there's lots and lots of work which is done by Professor Gangadhar and optimizing it to give better Professor.
Oncology, you should, because that would have hospitals, antipsychotics, caffeine. So I think the translational aspects of this can be done in India and should be done in India. I mean, we hear all these drugs being talked about in CDRI and in various institutes in India. In the bottom, let us go and biological psychiatry. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. To kindly accompany our panelists for the PR championship is being distributed in the counter on the left hand side. Kindly sign in your delegate attendance and you can take a copy of the same. The second.
Don't need any formal introduction about the illness is not there for most of the patients. And it would not be wrong to say what is very important is creating awareness about the mental illness and thereby.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
So even today, few patients will be taken with very clear ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂಡ್ ನೋ ಪೇರ್ ಮದುವೆಯಾಗದ ಮಗಳು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ. I give 5 reasons for this. One, all madness is hereditary. ಆನುವಂಶಿಕವಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. If I declare that I am mentally ill, my son will get illness, my grandson will get mental illness, his son will get ಆನುವಂಶಿಕತೆ. ಮೂರನೇದು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ 30 ವರ್ಷ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೆಡಿ ನಿಮಗೇನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ನಿಮಗೇನಾಗಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ವಾಸಿ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ದುಷ್ಟಶಕ್ತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಬರ್ತದೆ ದೇವ ಭೂತ ನಾಟ ಮಂತ್ರ. ಸೊ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ 5 beliefs ಪಾಪ ಕರ್ಮಗೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 7980. You have to like to talk about banality. Anyway, it's a bad pose. Some people know how to invite this pose, and if a patient is branded, every inch of a patient is branded. A schizophrenic patient or epileptic patient, together, Patisati excitation activity. One girl was locked up for 6 years, and family believe that nobody knows about this girl. It is people. To me. That is 10% you say, sir, in my very or my life. You must see that way. If I get stigmatized, my family is stigmatized. Public education. My first article was published in 1975-76. And the first book in 79. And this was published in 1918, Bhanavati, and then Deva, my very way. The same things are wrong. Even today, many people believe that marriage can be a mother is Rautane. Buddhi Kamari, a girl who was doing MBA, was and hope it in London. Namuna, mentally Landa, and the colleagues are a great classmates of Petare, and Tande the Paramapoist, Navatori. So this made me to write more than 300 books. 300 books. The published or articles, similar that Satanda Bodu, Ashokaya Bodu, Shivara Bodu, Shukrata Bodu, Pavitra Bodu. Well educated people take months and years to decide to consider psychiatrist. Illa, nothing bad with Bhaya. Every person you come across, every family you come across, and you know all media I will know. Print media idea, electronic media idea, social issues. Your motive also to maintain, RT also to maintain, all that's all poisonous. All that's all your efforts go in a waste if you don't do public education, health education. However,
Much for sharing your experiences in creating awareness and stamping out stigma. Now coming to Dr. Chandrasekhar, psychiatry is a part of medicine, very essential part of medicine. And the importance of mental health and mental illness is, but still the way they looked at psychiatric illnesses or mental health or mental illness medical professionals is not that encouraging. So what can we do to reduce the
So for example, in our hospital, Victoria Hospital,
ನೀನು ಹೋಗು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗ್ತೀಯ, then she will make a record. So the way it was record was at it is a death sentence. You go, they will deal with you better. So that stigma is there everywhere, medical colleges also. So whenever we require for some facility, we are the last resort. And if they want to take away some room, the first thing they come, why to waste? So our medical superintendent said, no, we have come a long way. Now most of them come to us. What I realize over time, best thing to pray fast. And yeah, the way it goes on, I think previously I used to be invited to many seminars.
Question to Dr. Santosh. More than 50 crore Indians own mobile phones now. Accessing social media is becoming.
Yeah, I do agree that and people can access most information at the touch of the fingertips. So, but even then, I think the newspaper and the it's not just that we have to target only the digital media. All forms of media are still widely used and selected by people. So we not restrict only to the we can have a lot of positive things that the media generally talks about, words of use of terms like psycho killer and things like that, or into media people is required, and how they can actually portray news related to mental health or mental illness is something that journalists and media people can learn, and we can tell us that this is this medicine. Even in the rural areas, people are now having. So I'm sure that will catch up, and it's something that we should really think about. Even social media, for that matter, people are. So this is something that we should kind of get into, and most very much in their fingertips. And we should get ready for it, and we should get the role of government in promoting mental program, the budget is presented by Mr. Arun Jaitley is only 50 crores. Compared to the previous year, there is very insignificant amount of raise in this budget. Approach a mental health professional to get their different awareness or awareness regarding.
Just mention about authority. It was 1996 he took up mental health authority, because the act came, he was made the secretary, then he wanted to start implement. Secretaries were also not very much interested in create awareness. That was a judgment given by our writ petition 18746, which still it is ongoing. And also I felt some of the bureaucrats are very friendly about creating awareness. I remember 2008, Sri Madan Gopal became the principal secretary, and next to that Dr. Ramana Reddy. They really pushed me to the push came from bureaucrats more than the medical person or the minister. Actually, minister will be always interested in other branches of medicine. PLs are not there, we will never eat.
My question is to CR Center.
To educate people. What it was 45 years ago, today it is less among educated people. People who read newspapers for entertainment purposes. So people who watch and read the articles written by who educate me. And my wife is Suvarna. Go ahead and ask. Then the people came, they told their name, they told their identity, and asked questions about their mental disorders or the mental disorder for their families. Openly. It's a foreign program. ಔಷಧಿಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವಾಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಗಳು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ only thing is ಯಾವ ರೇಟ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಟಿವಿ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ may reach 3 crores or 4 crores. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ I think that the visual media, the TV media, and now the social media, because number of smartphones are increasing, more than 60 crores, and other social media to educate a satisfied family will go back and educate 24 families. So the word of mouth, from lower set of society, they never bother with stigma. It's higher highest among urban middle class. So to reach them, we have to use all methods, still papers, newspapers, magazines, books, projected to create pathos. Either hero becomes the mental patient or heroine becomes mentally person, and the pathos is created. And the right message is never given. And one of the minister paper demands, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಇದೆ. So even minister had the impression that the psychiatric wards will be with such patients who keep on dying. Again projected by cinemas even today.
Yes. Definitely the stigma is reducing, but it requires little more work. India is a country of diversity. Probably for every 5 kilometers, the language, the dialect changes.
Actually, not to ignore culture when it comes to mental health, not to ignore, permeate it throughout the world. If you just look at McDonald's, where everyone who have, you go to America, you get mostly, we actually tune their business to the local culture. And all this is market research, market driven. You come to a local market, understand people's preferences, understand people's tastes. All of them are psychiatrists. I'm sure some of them are interested in social psychiatry, some of them are interested in biological psychiatry, some of them are interested in rehab, some of them are easiest ways to segment economic and cultural factors or geographic factors. You have people coming from the south Karnataka, north Karnataka. So things, their approaches, their needs are different. So similarly, we can segment our audiences based on certain mental health. Let's say you have families, or maybe the people who come in contact with mental health. You have and you have policy makers like Professor C.R.C. mentioned that even ministers are more effective than mass media approaches. So that is one thing. So identifying them and then targeting them. Now if you look at what intervention works, we have this beautiful initiative by the rehabilitation department called the Release Cafe, which is run by the patients and everything is done by them. And people come. It is required even for psychiatrists. Even though we treat psychiatrists, I think we ourselves need to shed out stigma in the first place and then show the example for the rest of other professions. You invite people who have mentioned their success story, and then people really believe that okay, even though you have mental illness, you can recover, you can come out of it, you can come out with closer. So promoting social contact is one very effective strategy. I know, but I think we can make work in this. This year's theme about depression was depression. Let's talk. So why don't we do it now?
Yes.
Just to continue, sir. Hubli Kannana bere, Kollegala Kannana bere, Chamarajanagar Kannana bere, Mysore Kannana bere. Different technology. Just 3 weeks back, I went to Gulbarga. One Swamiji came to see me. Sir, ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಜನ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಾಯಕ ಕಟ್ಟಿಂತ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ವಿಭೂತಿ ಮಂತ್ರಿಸ್ಬಿಡಿಂತ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. It took 1 or 2 both of them did. So make use of all the process. Now use our supply. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಗ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ರೋಗ ಬಂದಾಗ ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅದೊಂದು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ರಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವತ್ತು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ವಾಸ ಆಗಿದೆ. So she was getting possessed by the God and the goddess, and during possession he would say, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರವಿಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಕಾಲು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
Thank you, sir. We had a very insightful active branches among all the branches of Indian Psychiatric Society, education, and I think still it's a long list.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the moderator for standing. We go on to the last session of the second scientific session, which is community mental health. For this, I would like to call a small announcement. People who are presenting for the glitch presentation, kindly load all your presentations onto the computer on the right hand side. So, namaskara. So, Dr. Karur, and we have Dr. Rajini Patsarthi, who has carried on that work to see that the DMHP program is implemented in all the districts of the state. When I joined in 75, I think that is the year community psychiatry started circulation around this possibility or working on similar lines, and so people remember two things. One is Sambhrama project and the research on severe mental morbidity started. I was very much involved in the research and solving of the PhD that was taken up at that time. So I have come a long way since then, and but we have come a long way, and I am sure it has some community psychiatry so far in our country, which
I don't think I am an expert in community psychiatry. I know the areas and I have seen patients in PHCs. So that is the experience that I have. So the National Mental Health Program, which is trying to reach psychiatry in community psychiatry, is the big thing that is happening in the country. Community psychiatry came as opposed to Western countries and third countries where mental assailants are the only method of managing patients with severe mental illnesses who are being cared for in the community by the community itself. So the community psychiatry was always there, clinic based, hospital based, but patients live in the community, most of them. So the only, I think the more and to make psychiatric facilities available to the nook and corner of the country as community psychiatry. But I
see there are two different reasons why West took community psychiatry and why Eastern countries took community psychiatry. In the West, they found that their asylums are full, and that's where the problem started after community psychiatry. People went out, but they started coming back. In Eastern countries, the problem was lack of personnel.
So what are the private practitioners? What are the hurdles that they implementing? Yes.
I think Dr. C.R. Joseph, through which we started implementing this. First and through the primary centric care is the only answer to reach the unreached. This was the really my there. Because they have never heard about Chandrasekhar was telling. It is the code actually which helped the government. The deputy director post in the direct department of health and family welfare. Director C. Ramesh, who was overburdened with his work in medical post. So he asked Karuri sitting somewhere in the I faced a lot of problems from all of you. People to never call us as doctors who treat mentally ill. They call initially in Bellary and all. None of them will not happen with just one theory paper in 10 years or 15 days of postings, out of which 2 holidays come, 2 leaves. They should be a 25 mark case kept as practical or method to reach people would be very easy. So we had an excellent seed from NIMHANS, District Mental Health Program. Those who have worked in the Department of Health know this. Illi salladavaru illi salluvaraya. Community mental health, primary health center care is there. Some very good doctors, but I feel it is not the faith healers that this and all. It is the colleagues.
The studies when you look at the mental health program in India. Ballai project is it is from Ballai project is the one you start with first. So how did you start and initial how did you start?
Narasimha committee and all of them gave reports, even MD doctor in North Karnataka. So they also recommended that the doctor should be trained. So NIMHANS started training doctors from that area, Bidar, Gulbarga, Raichur, Bellary for 15 days at Saklwara, but they could not complete all the doctors in 1 or 5 years. So the community psychiatry division at NIMHANS thought of
calling doctors from one division to go to the district and then wait. One of the comments was on Sakalvara project that the doctor in Sakalvara is a very Dr. Narayan Reddy and Dr. R. Srinivas Murthy, Dr. Mohan Keja. They made a visit to all these 4 districts. Very good, very excellent in receiving demand call to start a district project. That's how people ask for Bellarial Bala cannot get his name in central government service. When he came back as a very big man, he came to Bellarial and said, how is mental health program going? Because he gave money from Airport Development Authority to purchase 50,000 worth of drugs for Bellarial mental health program. There was no government order when they started in Bellarial, and I had the joy of working with my own teachers, my own institution, and even today I am delighted to be here as a journalist. And we had a lot of success. Madam will take it further to the whole state of Karnataka.
The experiences, good as well as. So, good evening, everybody. Pleasure to be here in the midst of August Guardian. I would say it's not I, it's we who have made this Karnataka mental health program which has reached a bigger height. For me, at the mental health in 2016, first thing what I did was from 4 districts to across Karnataka. But Government of India was more than happy to approve this. We usually blame government. Karnataka got for mental health in national mental health, national crores, and they were very happy to sanction 17 crores. We increased psychiatrist salary from 50,000 to 1 lakh, and that also they approved. So we right now have 28 DMHP psychiatrists from NIMHANS, DIMHANS, our secretary, mission director, our minister, even the public health department of NIMHANS, IITB Bangalore. The partners are too many people. So that's how we have been able to implement district mental collecting data also have improved. So we are building awareness programs. Of course, lot more is there to do. We every year around 30,000 capacity building is happening. For example, last year we have practical training and half-a-day theory, and then we have trained around 26,000 ASHA. In past 2 years, we have covered all we want to take. It's a positive story. And then with the help of NIMHANS Telemedicine Center, we are hand-holding the social workers of the DMHP to mentor constantly through telemedicine. So we have piloted this in Mandya district. We have trained around nearly 80 doctors. So however good is the training, constant hand-holding will help them to start that prescription. Because from 1982 we have been, but somehow they are not so confident. So that's why telemedicine and constant monitoring, constant hand-holding has helped them. So
we allopathic generally oppose Ayurvedic doctors practicing or religious courses. What is your opinion about
not be a safe psychiatrist? I mean, I think that is the kind of analogy that you are drawing. So I think that in the initial days of this concept of training medical officers in treating doctors should be able to see any kind of illnesses. Mental illnesses are very common. 30% of PSC attendees can have mental illnesses. By prescribing metformin, we cannot become a diabetologist. Will become psychiatrists. Conditions of mental illness at their level. So I think just like how it is safe for them to prescribe metformin or Nalapril, it is safe for them to prescribe. Training Ayurvedic physicians in using allopathic medication angle to this. It is also we spoke about stigma by society towards mental illness. You will be surprised to know that community psychiatry, people who talk about community psychiatry, our department has initiated a new method, that is our psychiatry residents are now being posted in DMHP, various programs of DMHP, including PhD visits, school visits, etc. So I think the experience so far has been very eye-opening, and the stigma associated with
Experience with regard to this stigma. An elderly man who was an astrologer, he rang me up once and said, see, I can't travel a long distance, I can't come, and can you come and see me? I have some problem. And each time I went, I could see 3-4 people barging in and telling him, psychiatric illness. And he himself said, see, Yurigalla, you have the limb problem. Even psychiatrist comes to me. So, it was a different kind of an experience altogether. But I just want to know whether we are stuck with DMHP only, or are we going beyond that?
In future. Okay, we are not stuck to DMHP, sir. It is only we are using the DMHP as a level below. Of course, it is the baby of Government of India. Sub-centers are there below primary health center. So they are being appointed BSc nursing person. So they have been given a 6 months bridge course. All the 12 national programs are being sensitized about all the 12 national programs, including mental health. So at the sub-center level itself, population. So any person can walk into the problems to the nurse who is part of the community, and these things are happening. And similar to ACT in the West, we are piloting what is called as assisted home care also. So when they drop out, we tend to call them, how are you, what is, most of them are coming back. If they don't come back, our social workers, community nurse, they go to their houses, and we are trying to understand what is the need from the traditional long way to go.
A question from audience, from Dr. Surendra. Are number of psychiatrists available in government hospitals sufficient to cater the needs of community psychiatric problems? What measures government has taken to fulfill the aspirations of the Health Act?
Whatever scenario was there 2 years back is not there today. As I told, a lot of medical colleges are in the government setup. So, then the setting up of mental health authority also for mental health, state mental health rules is in pipeline, and we have proposed extra money to set up various things under state mental health authority. So, I mean, government is provide people. So, one more thing is Government of Karnataka has started what is called as Arogya Karnataka scheme. It is not an insurance scheme but an assurance scheme. So, more insurance, Government of India has put in 17 packages, 18 packages for mental illness. So, this would, I think, take care of the mandate of Mental Health Care Act. For the BPL patients, it is free. For APL patients, primary, secondary care, they can get in public health government. It is a co-payment basis wherein 30% of the money is taken. Revolutionary change in the health of Karnataka government, including more so with the mental health.
It is good to hear that such a thing is happening, and the government has
typically ill persons should be seen by psychiatrists. It is not going to happen in the next about 100 years and other mental health professionals teaching illness. It is going to be a fight.
Another initiative what Government of Karnataka is psychiatry. So for about 3 years, Karnataka government has proposed to Government of India to give 2 crores to enhance, wherein different other cadres also have to be sensitized, and we have to. I think wherein no state has started this.
Yeah, I think the city to suit our kind of setup. Now, anything happening in terms of empowering the affected and the relatives, the caretakers of the affected. Anything in terms of empowering them.
Accessible, free healthcare issues like that is, I mean, that
Thanks for enlightening us about what has been happening now in Tamil psychiatry, and I hope to see this coming up more some things and prospering well in terms of reaching the community at least as long as I am there. Okay. So thank you everyone for participation.
Thank you. A couple of announcements. We had a poster presentation and it was at a very short notice. We had received a total of 10 posters and 2 invited. All the posters were excellent. It is to kindly hand over a cash onto the bag. The second prize to Dr. Shivshankar Reddy, Historical Evolution of Geriatric Psychiatry in Women. Somebody from Women to collect our yes, thank you very much. And the first prize goes to Dr. Karthik VK for Revolution of Rehabilitation Facility in PhD Manipur. A felicitation program for all the past presidents of IPSKC, followed by a photo session. Thank you very much.